Salutare dragilor și bine ați venit la un nou podcast. Așa cum v-am obișnuit, vom analiza și vom explora experiențele antreprenorilor, oamenilor care aduc plus valoare comunității noastre. Astăzi avem un invitat de seamă din America. El ne va povesti despre parcursul lui antreprenorial și cum a ajuns la acest nivel din punct de vedere al business-ului. Hello, Wley Knap. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Tell me about you. How it was your first business?
Well, I started off in college in engineering, and I was industrial engineering in America, specifically Atlanta, Georgia. And I went to work for a management consulting firm, which is called PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is an international firm. And then IBM bought them, and I had a great career for about 4 or 5 years. I wasn't particularly satisfied in that career, but it was a good path to good money and success. And then in 2000, this might predate you, I don't know how old you are, but we had this thing called the Y2K where they needed a lot of consultants all at one time because everybody thought that the 2 additional digits on the year when it changed from 1999 to 2000 would blow up all the computers. I didn't participate in that, but that year I worked a lot of hours doing my job, and I got a promotion and a pay decrease. And that basically said to me, if I can work this hard and get promoted and get a pay decrease, I wanted to do something out there in the world where I was more in control of whether I got promoted, whether I got a pay increase, all those things, but I wanted to be more in charge of my life. And then I realized that's called entrepreneurship. And I didn't know that until then.
So your first business, it was in real estate?
Yeah, first business, and most of my business has been in real estate. I started off just by investing in some side projects, buying a house and improving it, or buying a plot of land and building a house. And then I got my real estate license and eventually my broker's license. I created a company called Wley Knap, which has in Atlanta, Georgia, almost 200 people that work for me and 4 different offices. And
now you have 200 employees?
That is correct. And they literally sell both commercial and residential property, predominantly residential, all around metro Atlanta, Georgia, which Atlanta is, you probably might know it from 1996 Olympics, but it's about almost 7 million people. So there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of deals that are going to just regularly happen, and we help facilitate those.
So you have a big residence, no, with flats, with a lot of apartments?
So I do. I have the brokerage business, and then I also have an investment business. In the investment business, I own many apartment buildings. I own commercial buildings. I've redeveloped commercial buildings. I like communities like you have here in Romania, where you have like a village and where people can walk back and forth. I find that those are great communities, and I like investing in the community. I get to be part of the community. I can both make money, I can invest in the community, and then they kind of make me part of their community by me putting money into it. So it gives me a feeling of being involved in the community and also a job to work on. And then I own it long term, and so I always feel like I'm part of that community. But I probably have almost 100 pieces of real estate that I'm involved in.
Oh, 100?
Yes.
Very much.
Some are small, some are big.
But I want to come back when you start.
Yes.
The first business. You have the first business in real estate. You have cash for the first house.
I had to have investment, which was partly from me and partly from a bank.
With the bank.
And it was so I had to go interview 4 banks to see if they would give me money. And then I did it with a friend who was also interested. So it was 2 of us got involved in it. The idea being I would have rather made, at that time, I wasn't worth a lot of money. And so I would have rather taken half the profit for half the risk. So that was a big deal just to dilute my investment and also the risk, even though I diluted half the gain.
It was the low price for that house?
It was in the middle of the market, but it was a lot of money to me at the time. So fear motivates. I was encouraged to make a profit and work hard and learn. Honestly, even if I made no money in that, as long as I didn't lose money. I mean, the biggest thing in my first venture was I learned a ton. I call it like investment college of sorts. I mean, you're basically learning everything, and a lot of times you're learning what to do, and you're also learning what not to do in those situations.
You have a lesson from your failure or something which you want to tell us. Good lesson.
I can tell you I failed it. You name it, I failed at it.
Yes.
I would say there's probably two questions there. One is, what do you think of failure? Which is, I think of failure is I'm willing to fail. That's the first thing, is most people are not willing to fail. Failure does not scare me. And to me, failure is an opportunity to learn something so that I can change and be better. So that's the first thing, and that's usually kind of the definition of an entrepreneur, is the not having complete, you have to be smart, you have to sniff it out, you can't be lazy, and you have to work hard, and you want to figure out how to mitigate failure, and you want to look at all the everything out there in the field so that you're always constantly trying to mitigate failure. But you have to be willing to accept failure if it ever happens. On failure, though, I mean, I feel like I've done everything wrong you can ever. In fact, the very first piece of property I was selling for somebody that I knew, I opened the door, and I didn't realize that they had a cat, and the cat was walked across the front porch, and the cat. So I'm trying to show the property to somebody. The cat walks across the front porch. The front porch was just painted. I didn't know that. Now the cat has gray paint all around the black cat, and I had to go get the cat, take the paint, clean the paint off the cat, get them back in there, the whole time while I'm trying to show the property to somebody who I'm hoping buys this property. So you name it, I failed at it. But I mean, you learn from it. You start asking more questions. You set expectations better. You kind of, I call it the sniffer. You can sniff out what's going to go wrong before it goes wrong. And the more you can sniff that out, the better you'll be.
You think you have a skill for real estate, which is your advice? I mean, you need to be a good salesman. Mm-hmm. You need to be very good at risk management. Which is the best skill in real estate?
I think that the other thing is like, whatever business you're in, is have a thirst of knowledge about it. The interesting thing about real estate is most of real estate is public knowledge, wherever you're at, not just in America. Like you can find out that so-and-so is buying that property down the street, or so-and-so developer is doing that deal down the street, or the city or the government is going to build a new facility here. You can find out everything going on every city block. And so when the difference is in America, if you buy a stock or something like that, you can't necessarily get insider information. In real estate, you can always get insider information. You can know everything about every property. And if you don't know, call up the brokers and ask. Call up the investors and ask. Call up the city and ask. You can find out as much information if you want to, if you're willing to find it out. So you want to mitigate your loss, find out more information. Stack the deck for yourself. Why would you not want to have more information if it's available to you? Probably the biggest thing is to say, I'm not going to get that information. In fact, I'm going to be lazy and not seek all that out. And then when you fail, say, oh, I just had bad luck. And the answer is you failed because you might have failed regardless, but when you failed, you gotta look at yourself and say, hey, why did I fail? And if the answer is, goodness, you didn't go find out this information, that's on you. And the quicker you change, I mean, there's plenty of people who spend their entire life and they're never going to be successful entrepreneurs. That something goes...
Put the blame.
Yes, you blame it on somebody else. That's the easiest thing to do. Oh, no, I didn't do it. That guy over there did it. I mean, that's easy. Yes. The sooner you say, hey, here's what I did wrong, and here's what I'm going to improve it, the better you'll be. In everything. With your relationships, with business, I mean, you name it, the quicker you can figure out and admit honestly with yourself. Honesty is hard with yourself, but the sooner you can do that, adjust, and then go back out there. And try not to make the same mistake again.
Yeah, very nice. You have an advice for the young people, the people who has 20 years old, I think.
Yeah, I think, there's more opportunity that you'll ever find. And number two is try not to get in the way of yourself. Most people tell themselves they can't do something.
Yes.
And it's a typical, in fact, I even talk to my real estate agents about this. I'll say, hey, have you called so-and-so? And they'll say, oh yeah, I did. And I say, okay, how did the conversation go? And they look at their phone and they texted that person. I said, they're buying the biggest investment of their life, their house. You texted them? They need to hear a voice.
Yes.
Or I'll say, and they say, hey, listen, Wesley, the reason why I texted them was because they don't want to talk to me. And I'll say,
they are afraid
yes,
to say no.
They're afraid to call that person, so they make up the fact that that person is too busy or that person doesn't want to talk to them. I was like, at the end of the day, that person's buying the biggest investment of their life, whether it's an investment property or their house or a commercial building. They want to hear your voice, I promise you. But people, salespeople, or any entrepreneur or any person will come up with all these reasons not to call that person, and they believe it. Like when they're telling me this, they're like, no, I helped them out by texting them. I was like, no, you hurt them and you hurt yourself. And you know, but the answer is so if you want to say, hey, I'm not going to be successful because there's no opportunity, that's you. Hey, if you say, hey, I didn't contact this person because at the end of the day, they didn't want to talk to me, that's you. If you said, hey, listen, I couldn't figure this out because the information's not out there. I mean, you have the internet. I mean, there's almost no information. And if you can't find the information, ask somebody. Pick up the phone and say, hey, I heard you know. Because people don't care if you don't know. They care that you don't want to go find it out. So the biggest thing I'd say is figure out how not to get in the way of yourself and figure out if you do, admit it and change.
So you have 200 sales people in your team?
Yes.
Oh, it's very hard, huh?
No, I mean, you know, our goal is to take people who are entrepreneurial and give them the tools to go out there and be successful, and then make sure that before they, fail or get us in trouble legally, or is to manage that through the process, and probably come up with some good tenets. And the tenets mean like things that they believe in how they do business. So when they're out there, because ultimately they're representing me and they're representing my company, and I'm liable for them. So if they make a mistake, I could get sued and it's my liability.
You are the image. Yes.
Very much so. Image, and also just, I mean, some of it's image and some of it's just, gosh, we want to just be known for the people that do it right or the people that care, not just the people that want to make $1 off of you. So, to some degree, there's in that, the sooner you can help the people around you realize, hey, this is what I believe in, and hopefully they grab that and they keep going with it. The better I am, honestly, and the better they are in their job. And some people can't do it. There are people that will leave us that I say, hey, here's how we do business. And this is what I think is honest, this is what I think is ethical, and if you go down this path, you do it, then you'll have more success. And at the end of the day, they will always do the easiest thing or the quickest money. And those people will lose over time.
They quit.
Yes.
No?
They people see it. If your clients see that you're looking for a quick buck, eventually they're going to know, so-and-so is the quick buck guy. And they're not really concerned about my long-term health, my long-term safety, my long-term wealth, all the things that matter in your life, your family. You don't, part of that, to me, that just feels wrong.
Yes.
The second part of it is this how you want to be remembered, as the person that is lazy and cut a corner? Is there a day that you might say, hey, I got to go pick up my kids at school and I have to cut a corner or something like that? Yeah, that happens. But then go that night and go make sure. I mean, I did a deal yesterday. I was in my hotel room in Bucharest last night, and I did a deal, and it was 3 o'clock afternoon in Bucharest, in America, and 10 o'clock here. And I didn't tell them, hey, listen, I'm in a hotel room, I'm exhausted because I just flew all the way here. I made it happen. And then I set my alarm at 1 o'clock in the morning to see if, making sure, because we sent it to everybody to sign and make sure it came in. I didn't try to find ways to explain to people why it failed. I found ways in my own life that I could make it successful, even though I was here because I wanted to talk to you today.
Yeah, very, very nice. So your company invests only USA or out of border? I don't know.
I've,
Singapore,
I've,
Dubai.
I've only invested in USA to date. I've invested in multiple states within the United States, but I can't say that I wouldn't invest in, and I'm enjoying getting to know more about Romania while I'm here. It sounds like a good investment.
Yeah, here is very cheap. The apartments, the flats, the buildings.
I'm surprised at how inexpensive the cost of living is in Romania versus even Atlanta, Georgia.
It's very expensive in Romania.
No, it's much less expensive in Romania than America.
The real estate, the
All of
lifestyle,
it. All of it.
all of it. It's very cheap in Romania.
Well, it's cheaper.
Cheaper.
Nothing is cheap.
Yeah, it's cheaper. So you have invest in Dubai, in Singapore. I don't know where it's.
I've never done any of those countries because ultimately, I'm always looking for insider information.
Okay.
I'm looking for something,
Research.
Yes.
You did a lot of research every time.
The closer I can be. Now, so if I had somebody, like I have a deal in Orlando, Florida, and in that situation, there was a person there who needed some money, and they had insider information in Orlando, and then they came to a group of us and said, hey, would you put money in on this deal? That we had insider information. I had a deal in North Carolina, and in that situation, we had a young, talented person who had some insider information on this property that was going on the market. No problem there. But at the end of the day, I want a competitive edge against competition, and if I get that through my own knowledge, that's easy because I'm getting knowledge all the time. If I'm getting that through a person, I would invest in a person. But then it's two things. I'm investing in that person and I'm investing in the real estate. It's not just the person and it's not just the real estate. I need both.
Okay. So in your company, you need or you work with AI, ChatGPT,
well, a little bit,
artificial, because you work with a lot of information, a lot of numbers.
In our world, we are just starting. And I've got an engineering degree, so I find it ChatGPT. I mean, it's fascinating to me. We do a lot of our descriptions on property. We'll start off there and then change it. And sometimes we'll try to learn stuff. But I will say, AI in our industry is just starting off. And I'll tell you this. And do I ever think that AI will take over our industry? I don't. Because the insider information, relationships, if you're making the biggest investment of your life, you're never going to do it over AI. Because at the end of the day, you need to look somebody in the eye just like I'm looking at you, and you need to shake their hand, and you need to talk to them. There might be a small percentage of the population that doesn't need that because they just don't need that. But that's a very small percentage. I mean, most people need to have a communication. I mean, and going back to back to my example of, hey, did you call him or did you text him? Example for a 20-something years old. If I were telling somebody to work on something, it would not be to work on their ChatGPT skills. It would be to work on their interpersonal skills. Because what I have found, back to your failure, is I have found over time that we call it EQ versus IQ. I have a degree in engineering. I can do calculus. I can do physics. But most of what my deal making is looking somebody in the eye, saying, "Hey, I've done the research. Do you trust me?"
Emotional intelligence, no?
And that emotional intelligence in that moment will never come down to AI. That is always going to be, do you trust me? Do I look you in the eye? Can I go look at the piece of real estate? Did he shake my hand well? Do I feel comfortable with this investment? And that's never going to be replaced with technology.
In statistics, it's about the sales people from America is the best salesman in the world. Which is the secret?
The secret.
In Romania, a lot of people who try to work in sales, they quit, they give up very fast. They are afraid about the client, tell them, no, I don't want. So they don't want to hear this, and they give up of this business, these jobs.
Well, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because I think in America too, we have there's a lot of people that think that sales is a get-rich-quick opportunity, and especially if you're, I didn't come from much. And if you look at my upbringing, I didn't grow up poor, but I didn't grow up far above poor. So to the idea of making wealth, and my parents weren't very good with money, so I felt like I needed to make money to support them if I needed to at some point in time. So I had a responsibility to help them out. So making money was very important to me as part of my personal growth. I knew that early on. So in that situation, I learned that, and back to the comment on failure too, is ultimately, if you are going to fail and not get back up again, sales is not where you want to be.
Yes.
Because you are going to fail. In fact, I speak to a bunch of elementary school kids, and I would say, hey, do you know Shaquille O'Neal? And
Yes.
of course, an American NBA basketball player. And I would say, you know, he has missed more free throws than any player in the history of the NBA. But everybody around the world knows who Shaquille O'Neal is. So
Yes.
how could the biggest failure in all of the NBA basketball be so well known across the world? It's because he got back up and kept trying. And other people probably would have given up. I mean, they used to call it hack-a-shack. They foul him because it's more likely that he'll miss both two free throws than he'll make the two-point shot. So make sure you foul him and don't give him an opportunity to do that so that he can miss two free throws. That's how bad a free throw shooter he was.
Because he changed the direction. He worked for 2 shots,
Yes.
2 points.
He would do
shots.
anything he could do. He would find a way to be successful despite his failure on the free throw line. And that's
Yes.
why you know who he is. It's
So-
pretty amazing. The biggest failure is somebody that everybody in the world knows
Yes, it's true.
because he got back up
Yes.
and kept getting back up and kept finding an angle. And I mean, if I were to give my kids, if I could give my kids the 3 things I always think are successful in sales. One is a good person. People can know that you're a good person. One is intelligence, and one is hardworking. In those 3, I mean, you got it. So you got hardworking, you got intelligence, and you got a good person. I would take good person and hardworking over raw intelligence.
Yeah, I understand.
Because you keep trying and you keep trying, and they know you have your best interest, and you'll eventually get to the answer of the smartest person.
You get the intelligence on the road.
You get it, and you ask questions because you've got humbleness, your humility. You're willing to be. The more humility you have, if you go ask somebody and say, "Hey, I'm trying to figure out how to do this. Can you help me?" They're probably going to say yes, but you didn't have to come up with the idea.
Yeah, I understand.
But if you're a jerk to that guy, they're not going to help you. So, but you got to be able to hardworking enough to go ask them, and you've got to be humble enough to ask, and you got to be nice enough to say thank you and look them in the eye and say I appreciate you at the end.
Yes. You came in Romania. One of this reason is about an event,
Yes.
business event,
Yes.
which is made by Ionica, no?
Yes.
Three lead. And I want to ask you what you will speak about.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, at this point in my life, my goal is to have as much influence that I can.
Influence. Okay.
I influence. I want to influence as many people.
My dream is the same.
Yes. And I'm Christian, so I believe that God is part of my life. And I think that this is what God wants me to do, is to influence things in my life. So I came because there was an opportunity to speak about entrepreneurship and what has made me successful. So I feel like I'm fulfilling out what I'm supposed to do in this life. Specifically, what am I going to speak about? It's going to be about entrepreneurship and what has made me successful, and the things that I think that are in my business that I created that somebody else could take with them and that can make them successful in their business or their life.
Yeah, I understand. And technically, I saw on the banner emotional.
Yes,
Matur-
emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence for the business people.
100%. Is basically, think of it as, there's, you could have be this like I said before. You could be the smartest person in the room, but could never sell anything, or you could be the smartest person in the room and smart comes in different categories. Emotionally smart is a category different than just pure academic smarts. Just because you can go to the best university in the world and get the best grades doesn't mean that anybody's going to invest in your company.
Yes. Oh, sure. You have stocks?
I do have stocks, yes, but I use I try to invest in things that I know about. But I also have what I call the rainy day fund, which is I invest in mutual funds.
Oh, okay.
Mostly, not individual stocks.
ETFs.
Yes, because there will be a day that I need cash, and so I have to have money set aside because I have 2 boys, and I got to make sure that I always have money set aside because I can't take all my money and do real estate deals all the time because that's leveraged money. I mean, I take money I have, take debt from banks, and then I do a deal, and sometimes that takes longer, so I've got to have extra cash. Sometimes it doesn't sell as quickly. Sometimes the government is involved and they delay it. These are all problems I'm having right now on deals. So we've got this multifamily deal that we got it rezoned, and we're trying to get the city has to get bonds from the state, and I mean there's all sorts of stuff, and it's probably going to take a year longer. So I've got to have cash in between. In that situation, I invest in stocks so that it's much more secure through that process.
ETF, small risk.
You got it.
I understand. And the last question, I ask everybody, which kind of business you start in Romania? You think it's a good business? An opportunity?
My belief is, I've been in Romania now for 24 hours, so I'm not an expert on this. But just understanding the cost of living, that ultimately, Romania has so many resources and so many beautiful places that Romania is going to be a financial opportunity for a long time to come.
Yes.
So if I was a young person and I was looking at places that I could create opportunity, I would think Romania would be a place that, because you're going to find it, like when I went to dinner last night in Bucharest, that same dinner would have been 2 to 3 times as expensive in Atlanta.
Oh.
That means that people will come here because it's cheaper to live. And will that always be the case? Probably not. But that means that real estate is going to appreciate in value. That means more people are going to be buying goods and services in those areas. That means that you can produce more. That means that whatever your skill set is or the business you want to create, as long as you pick the right location or the right people or the right business, it's going to be growing, not shrinking. So I would say that I think that Romania is a rising sun and not a setting sun.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
I enjoyed it. Appreciate it.